All right, we're starting the assessment. This first section of the assessment is the flexibility part of the assessment. So there are 10 exercises. I'm going to be talking to you about them, about the form and everything, and at the same time showing you my screen with images, still images of the pictures of how to do the exercises. At the same time, we want to assess, we want to go through the assessment. So here's the flexibility assessment, right? You see the names of the exercises: hanging leg drop, quad stretch, all the way down. And we are basically going to go through all those exercises and just make sure that we have a kind of a good understanding of exactly what is needed to accomplish a successful version of the exercise. So there's a lot of different, different forms in the exercise, so we want to make sure you're doing everything properly. So here is, let's get started with the first one now. Hanging leg drop. If you don't have the assessment in front of you, you can download the assessment through the members area of the website if you don't have it. So hanging leg drop. Okay, I'm going to kind of go through this, zoom in on parts that we need zooming in on, but this is basically the hanging leg drop. So you need a massage table, a kitchen counter, any kind of table that's elevated a little bit so that your bottom foot does not touch the floor. So in this particular example, is at my right, I think I'm interlacing my hands behind my right leg. I'm doing kind of like a bicep curl toward my chest with that right knee. I'm letting the left leg drop down. Now, let's talk about scoring. Right now, in this picture, my hip flexor looks a little bit tight. I can tell that because the knee, my left knee, is the same height. It's slightly lower than my hip, but not much. My shin is pretty vertical, so that's pretty good. The position of the shin, meaning is it vertical or is the foot out away from you, that's going to tell you how tight the quad is. How low the knee is going to tell you how tight the hip is. Now all this with the prerequisite of being able to flatten out the lower back by pulling the right knee toward you. So in this particular case, I would actually give myself probably an 80 because the lower leg is good. Hip flexor looks a little bit tight because the knee is not dropping. Now, if the knee doesn't drop and the shin is not vertical, I would drop that all the way down to, say, like a 50. So somewhere in there. Now, if you have the knee below the height of the hip, meaning the knee is closer to the floor than the hip is, and your shin is vertical, that's a solid 100. Okay, so let's move to the next one, prone quad stretch. If you see my hand close to the screen, I apologize. I'm just moving the pictures one to the next. Prone quad stretch. Okay, so prerequisite for this one is that your back is flat, your lower back is flat, your abs are tight, your glutes are tight. Now, once you get that, then you're going to pull the heel toward the glute and just hold that position. What will happen is that as you pull the heel toward the glute, you're going to feel, if you're at the end of your range of motion, that lower back wants to arch. So as soon as you flatten that back by squeezing your abs and your glutes, that's going to intensify the quad stretch. So if you can touch, like if you can grab your foot, but you can't quite touch your heel to your glute, you're looking at about a 75 score. If you, on the other hand, can't even grab your foot, you need a strap, that's fine. You can still do the exercise, but you're at a 50 or below if that's your case. If there's any kind of lower back pain, you're more like a 25. So yeah, that's basically it, I think, for the quad stretch. Make sure you're writing down your scores. If you printed out your form and you're just writing it, you can input it later into the Google Doc, and it color codes based on your score. So like a good score turns green, a bad score turns red, kind of a medium score turns kind of a muddy brown. Next exercise is called hip lift. So this is number 3 on your flexibility assessment up here. Hip lift, you're going to start one ankle over the other knee. In this one, I have my left ankle over my right knee. And then you're pulling I'm pulling the right knee toward me. Now you want to look at 2 main things here. One is the pulling leg, which is my right leg. That has to be at 90-90. So notice in this one it is my right hip, my right knee, both at 90 degrees. Then you want to look at the pushing leg. So keeping the 90-90 with the pull leg. You want to be able to get that pushing knee. Let me zoom in for you. I'm wearing black pants, so it's hard to tell, but you want to be able to get that pushing knee so that it forms a 90-degree angle. Now, where you're going to see this angle is if somebody was looking at you from the top. That left knee is supposed to be lined up with the right. All this, again, pain-free. So if you are unable to get the pushing leg into the position, then you would dock 25%, so you're at 75. If you're unable to get the 90-90 in the pulling leg, dock another 25. Any pain, dock another 25. In general, as I go through this, I think I should say this, is that the way to think about these scores is start with 100, and then any significant form deviation typically will dock 25. And if you have pain in the exercise, you're going way down to 0 or 25. So that's just a good way to think about it. Okay. We fast forwarded. That is not the correct one. We are on. Apologize about this. They're out of order. Upper spinal floor twist. Okay, this one you're in a 90-90 position on your side, making sure that your knees and your hips are stacked right on top of each other, and then you're opening up the top arm. Now, this one should not be forced. Your upper back should relax into the position. If your shoulder is within about an inch of the floor, so in this case, my right shoulder, about an inch from the floor, then you're good, as long as your knees don't move. So see how my knees are stacked vertically, which is good. What else? What else? Again, any kind of pain in your lower back, tension, drop the score way down. If your arm or your shoulder is way elevated, then drop out 25%. And again, the purpose of dropping the score is not to penalize you. It's to make these turn bright red on the scorecard, make like red alert, red alert. You need this exercise, right? So, okay, let's go to the next one. Runner stretch. So I used my chair. I did this at home specifically because I want you to see that you don't need any special equipment to do this. Runner stretch, you're starting in a runner position. So it looks like my right foot is in front there. I'm going to start with my right heel touching my left knee. So that left knee that's back here is going to be on the floor when I start. That's why it's called runner stretch. Kind of looks like a runner in the starting blocks. And then from there, then you're straightening up into this position and then bending forward. So 3 things here. Front leg straight, back leg straight, torso horizontal or as close as possible to horizontal. If you're really tight in your hamstrings, what you don't want to do is start rounding your back into bad posture in order to pull off this motion. It's better to stay more vertical in order to pull off this motion. Okay, real quick little segue. Wall drop. Wall drop is the one where you are using a slant board, and the slant board is inverted. The main thing with wall drop is that if your heels can touch the slant board, you're good. So that's a quick assessment. I think that's the reason why I didn't get the picture. Apologize about that, though. Okay, counter stretch is the next one. Again, using a chair. You can also use the wall. Use the wall especially if you're a little bit tighter. So see how I have this tight 90-degree angle at the hip? I mean, if you were to turn me, right, you would see that's a downward dog position. Okay, so that is that's 100. If you have a rounded lower back, it would be a little bit of a dock. If your knees bend, it would dock a little bit. So again, 100, 75, 50, 25, 0. Any pain goes pretty much down to 0. Bicep stretch is next. Okay, bicep stretch, you're facing the wall. See, my hand is thumb and fingers down. Now I'm going to dock myself on this one because of my elevated shoulder. See that? See that kind of popping up? I'm going to dock myself for that. Other than that, it's pretty good. I have a pretty big turn here, so that's why my shoulder is coming up. But you start facing the wall, facing where your hand is, and then start turning away from it. That's when you'll start to feel the stretch down the arm. So this one, in that case, elevated shoulder, I would dock it down to 75. If your elbow bends, dock another 25%. Again, any pain, get down to 25 or 0. Okay, tricep stretch is the next one. Tricep stretch, I'm going to take my right hand in this case and touch the right shoulder blade. Now I'm going to dock myself a little bit. This is not that big of a deal, so I'm not going to do a full 25. I'll probably go down to a 90 on this one. You want your hand, so in my case the right hand, off of the spine. I want it more toward the right. I want my right hand more toward the right. And then from there, you're going to grab the elbow, my right elbow with my left hand, and then pull the elbow back. Now from a side view, which you can't see right now, but from a side view, you want that upper arm, my right upper arm, vertical. If that can be vertical, then you're good. So I'm just going to, again, take off that 10% for the hand being maybe a half an inch too close to the spine. Go back, and the last one is tower hip release. This is relaxing. You're not doing anything. So notice a couple things here. One, is that my right leg? Yes. My right leg is at a 90-90 position, just relaxed over a chair. My upper body is relaxed, arms are out to the side. My leg is just out here. It's fine that it falls out. If you want, you can prop it up so that the foot stays vertical. That's fine. The main thing here, obviously you can get into this form. I mean, pretty much no matter who you are, you're going to be able to get into this form. What you want to be aware of is how arched your lower back is. So you're going to do a test. Squeeze your abs as if you were going to do a crunch, but instead of doing a crunch, flatten the back. So flatten your lower back all the way down to the floor, and then relax it. And if it pops back up significantly, then you're at like a 50%. If it just pops up a little tiny bit and there's a little bit of tension in there, you might be around a 75. If you squeeze the abs and it flattens all the way down, and when you release the abs, it stays flat, that is 100. So that's a solid 100 right there. Okay, so that is the flexibility assessment. Go ahead and enter your scores in. Remember, you want to do this assessment about once a month, and work on the reds. So whatever exercises out of here pop out to you that turn red, obviously those 50s, 60s, 70, you're going to be working on those. The more numbers you have that are high, say for example you have a bunch of hundreds and you have one exercise that's like a 90, that 90, even though it's very high, it's a good score, that 90 is going to turn bright red because it's the only one. If you have a lot of scores though, they're like 70, if they're all about the same, because it takes the average, then it's going to be more of like a brownish, muddy red. So that is it for the flexibility assessment. The next video is the range of motion assessment. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Email me, chris@mycorebalance.com. I'll answer those questions for you. Thanks again. Talk to you next time.